What happens next will now depend on what Iran chooses to do next. If they choose the path of diplomacy, we're ready.
We didn't blow up the diplomacy. The diplomacy never was given a real chance by the Iranians.
All righty, diplomacy. Joining us now, we welcome Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota, who is a member of the Armed Services Committee. We may get James Lankford or not. Senator Cramer, the Vice President and Secretary of State and many others are talking about diplomacy, all right, and presumably diplomacy after the successful knockdown of the nuclear operations. I'm trying to figure out what diplomacy is at stake here. What is it that we're going to ask Iran to do? And why do we think they'll do it? But I'm just trying to figure, what specifically are we going to negotiate now?
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Larry, because clearly they don't have much leverage anymore, and they had all kinds of opportunity when they still had a little bit of leverage. That said, Iran is more than a nuisance in the neighborhood. They really are. And if you could bring them to a negotiating table where you discussed peace in the region, where they would never have a nuclear weapon, first of all, and where they would open up their economy a little bit and just be a better neighbor, I suppose you could negotiate those terms, and I don't know why they wouldn't want to have that negotiation right now. But you make an important point. They clearly don't have the leverage that they had a few days ago. Now, at the same time, Donald Trump has a whole bunch more leverage than he had a few days ago, and he exercised that leverage in a spectacular way that I think brings a lot of people to the negotiating table, not just Iran, but I think a lot of our adversaries and allies around the world watched over the weekend and thought, okay, this guy means what he says, and he does what he says he'll do.
I mean, I'd say to these guys, you're a bunch of war criminals, and you better resign, get out of town. Yeah. We'll give you a chance. You want to leave this? If another country would take you, I can't imagine another country taking them. But they are war criminals, and they tried to destroy Israel, and they tried to destroy the United States and other places, including the Middle East and their own people. I mean, what do you do with them? They're horrible dictators who were lying and cheating over these nuclear weapons and so forth. We know the whole story. It's just that President Trump drew a red line and actually put it into force. And so that, which is a whole other wonderful story. But I'm just saying, I would say to them, resign, get out of here.
Yeah, well, he being President Trump, has clearly stated that regime change is not his goal. At least it's not what he intends to force on them. Having said that, he certainly has paved the way for the people of Iran to seek a regime change. And you remember, we weren't that far away from that happening in President Obama's first early years in his new term as president, when he backed off of supporting the people of Iran. The people of Iran are good, smart, intelligent, sophisticated, civilized people who've been under this regime now since 1979, as you know. I think this is their moment, really, Larry, to say, you're fired. And I think if they do that and they say that, they'll have a lot of support, not just from Israel, not just from the United States, but from the civilized Arab world around them. To me, that's the real exciting opportunity here.
Well, we'll bring in Senator James Lankford, member of the Intelligence Committee. If we have it up on the full screen, I wanted to read the quote about regime change. Hold on a second. I think I have it here. It's from Mr. Trump. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be regime change? And then he writes MAGA ? I mean, I'm not saying this is Iraq. I'm not saying boots on the ground. I'm saying it has to be done inside Iran. One of the examples I give Mr. Lankford, perhaps this is appropriate or perhaps not, but in the 1980s, Lech Walesa led the Solidarity labor movement against the communists, and Ronald Reagan didn't land any troops. We didn't have any nation building, but Reagan administration gave Lech Walesa and his movement against communism as much help as we could outside the country. So I would put that to you. You're on the Intel Committee. Is there a Lech Walesa figure that might, I mean, if it's the Shah's son, I don't know. It may be premature to even talk about this. But what do you think?
Yeah, there are several leaders that are Iranians that they want a better future Iran. And I think right now, the IRGC, the military in Iran and the leadership of Iran, they're trying to be able to show they're still strong. They're trying to still launch missiles when they know they're weak, and the country knows they're weak. But they are terrified of their own people, that their own people see them as weak and see it as a weak moment, that their own people could rise up and to be able to say, no, this is not what we want. We don't want to be dominated. We want an opportunity to be able to travel and to trade. We want an opportunity to be able to join the rest of the world. We actually want oil revenue in Iran to be able to go to Iranian people, not to funding terrorism around the world. And the Iranian people struggle and suffer under sanctions because of the decisions of their leader. Those sanctions wouldn't be there if it wasn't for their leadership, and they know it. And so, yes, I'd love to see different leaders in Iran. I've made that very clear. I also don't want boots on the ground and Americans trying to impose on the Iranian people, but maybe it's just me. I don't like it when leaders in other countries chant death to my family. I'd like to see leaders that aren't chanting death to my family in other countries.
That's the thing, you know. You put your finger on it, Senator, as you often do. I'll go to Senator Cramer on this one after another. I'm for diplomacy where there's a decent objective of diplomacy. But here's my worry, that somehow some kind of negotiations, I mean, again, I don't know what the heck we're going to negotiate. I don't want to do one thing that would help the mullahs, that would help the IRG, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, or the military state that they've created. I don't want to do one thing that gives them any legitimacy. I want to help throw them out. I want to give someone else some help. I mean, that's what I worry about. All this talk about diplomacy, we're not MAGA isolationists. President Trump has made that very clear. We're not MAGA isolationists. Trump's in there trying to save Israel and the rest of the world and the United States, as Mr. Lankford said, which is wonderful. And he's going to go down in history for this as a great, great, great man, President of the United States. But I don't want to legitimize the Revolutionary Guards or any of their henchmen or any of these mullahs or these mullahs that are mullahs in waiting. I mean, I'd like to see Israel take them all out.
Yeah. Well, Larry, I think you're right on point. Remember, about 12 days ago, now Donald Trump was wrapping up negotiations for peace. Now we're talking about negotiating a surrender.
Yes,
and that's a very different situation.
Unconditional surrender. Thank you.
To his credit, though,
thank you.
To his credit, President Trump is giving the leadership the opportunity to save a little bit of face, maybe, with their own people. It's a long ways from Missouri to Tehran, as our B-2s proved.
Yes.
But having said that, it's a busy neighborhood, and so I think Donald Trump's handling it to this point quite brilliantly. He's allowing them some room to reconsider their actions, but I suspect that his patience has run out.
Mr. Lankford, we're running out of time. I'm sorry about this, but I know you're a finance whiz, among other things. So how's July 4th? One big, beautiful bill, Senator Lankford. Real quick, sir, please.
We've got a lot of work still to be able to do. There's been a lot of work with the parliamentarian over the weekend. We've got more work to be able to do to be able to get that wrapped up. If I tell people, if you think doing your own taxes is complicated, try writing the tax policy and getting agreement on it. That's even more complicated. But we're going to stay at work. And we hope to be able to get it by July the 4th. If we don't, we'll stay at work until we get it done.
Has a lovely ring to it, Senators. You know, July 4th, just a lovely ring to it. Anyway, Mr. James Lankford and Mr. Kevin Cramer, two great friends of the show. Thanks to both of you. Coming up, folks.